Hi, Dr. Zach here again, and right now we're going to do part B of this experiment, which is on complex ion equilibria. And so we have this cobalt compound that is bonded to some waters, and on the other side of the arrows we have a cobalt chloride compound. And the thing about these is one of them is pink, one of them is blue. It does say in that intro up here, so go ahead and read through that to figure out which one is which. And so we're just going to get started off by making cobalt chloride over here. So we'll make a solution of that guy, which is a hydrate, which you may remember from last semester. So you have cobalt 2 chloride, hexahydrate, and we're going to make up the solution, then just start adding stuff to it to see what color changes we see and how that's going to shift the equilibrium. And so we start out with danger, or rather this cobalt chloride hexahydrate, cobalt 2 chloride hexahydrate. And this guy is these like pretty pink crystals. And so I'm just gonna put some of these in here and try to get an appropriate amount. As I look to Dr. C to make sure that I'm doing it right. All right, so we have some of those, and now I'm gonna add some water to it. Or, oops, I should read the instructions. Okay, so here you want to make sure that you tell us what color those crystals are. Your worksheet doesn't have a line, but go ahead and draw one in if you feel better about writing it on a line. And now it says we're going to add some ethanol. And so here I have my ethanol. And so I'm going to go ahead and add about 10 drops of my ethanol to this guy. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I'm sure all of you guys could count to 10. You did not need me to count for you, but I did. Okay, and I'm gonna swirl it around a little bit. And so that's a pretty vibrant color there. And so you can write it down right here. And also from that introduction, you could tell me which one of these it is, which form that cobalt it is. And so now we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna add some distilled water. And so we've got this guy, and we're gonna add it till we see a color change. So, oops, and out of control. That looks like a color change. All right, so hopefully you're not colorblind. So now you want to put the color after we've added water and identify which one of these it is. Okay, and now we go over and use the heavy guns. We have here some 12 molar hydrochloric acid. We've already transferred some to a beaker, and we have this handy dandy watch glass over the top because the fumes are pretty bad and my sinuses don't need clearing. So I'm just going to move that out of the way and put a few drops of these. Let me see if it says how many drops. 1 drop at a time. This stuff is pretty nasty, and so I'm gonna try to be careful with it and not hurt myself. Okay, so there's the first drop. There's another one. I see something happening. I'm just gonna add 1 more for good measure and maybe give it a shake. Oops. All right, let me add more. So you have to shake it after everyone, because even though you see a color change immediately, it might not persist through. So I'll keep adding this. I added a few extra drops and didn't shake it, but okay, I think we're getting there a little more. Let me just put in maybe 1 or 2 more just to really drive home that point. Okay. All right, so I think that's a pretty significant color change that you could see, and I'm gonna go ahead and put this back here because apparently the fumes were getting bad. All right, so now this is after we've added our 12 molar hydrochloric acid, and you should be able to identify which one of these. Okay, so now we're gonna go through and add more water and see what happens if we add water again. So got my water. Let me go ahead and put some water in there, and you can see it's starting to change. let me go ahead and give it a shake. All right, so we've got some water in there, and it looks different than it did in the previous one. So go ahead here, you could indicate what color that is, and which molecule is present. Next up, just like in the pre-lab, we could see the effect of heat and notice what kind of changes we have in the color. And so in anticipation of this, we've already got our hot water bath, and I'm just gonna stick this guy in there and see what happens when we heat it up. And I'm just kind of shaking it as we go, just to make sure everything's kind of incorporated. It looks like something might be happening. Oh, there's the bell. I'm gonna be late for my next class. Okay, oh, well, yeah, definitely we're seeing some changes, I think, from whatever color it was before. And do we think that's significant enough? So it didn't go all the way back, but I think we could tell that at least it wasn't the color it was before. And so now, I guess I can, so that doesn't drip. And so what's our color after heating? And if it's somewhere in between, it's probably, you know, the next step over. And so let's take a look, and now we want to cool it off under our tap water. I have our tap water, and I'm gonna stick this guy in, making sure that I don't get water into the test tube. And wow, you can see that color change almost immediately. So you see it there, and let's go write this down. So now we've cooled it down, and so you could write down this color and which molecule is present. And so then the rest of this lab for step 8 is answering questions based on the color changes that you've observed.